Oh, automatic gates on the farm, folks. And there certainly is a difference between a commercial gate that, is used as an entry gate and more of a consumer gate. But today I'm using a gate in kind of a unique fashion. I'm digging a hole. It's very, very hot. It's muggy, but hey, that's what you need to make hay, right? And grow crops. Either way, I'm out digging a hole because I'm putting in a gate. My daughters are helping me put in the posts. And this is kind of a special gate that we've kind of envisioned for about the last 6 to 8 months because it's going to be automatic for the most part. We're going to use a ghost, and we're going to do it with a really nice big 30-watt solar panel here. And it's going to charge its own battery. It's going to be in kind of a little bit more of a remote location. And it's going to allow us to bring the horses up, manually shut the gate, and then at a given time, open itself back up and release the horses when we want the horses released. And of course, we're going to use a nice 12-volt battery here. I got one of these Mighty Max batteries. It's got plenty of power. Bought a case for it on Amazon that should be able to protect it out there and keep it safe and dry. And then, of course, I got myself a gate opener kit. And I know there's some professionals out there that say they never install a ghost. But, those guys are installing it in a driveway situation. They want things in conduit. They want really rock solid stuff that are going to open, 10 times a day, bare minimum. This is not the case, folks. This is on a farm. It's going to open at least once a day. It needs to have plenty of power. It needs to be safe. Have a non-entrapment ability. But it also needs to be able to mount to a round post. It needs to be able to shut the gate at a certain time, in a certain way. And, it needs to install fairly easy for this farmer. And the Ghost really does meet that requirement. I'm going to have to run a little bit of bell wiring and a little battery cable here. Battery cable will go to the 12-volt battery, and then it'll connect up into the top of the Ghost box. And then the bell wire is going to go to a timer that I bought off of Amazon, which is recommended to use from the Ghost company. And then that timer will kick in, open up the gate, and then the gate will remain open until we decide to close it the next day. Now, the gate could automatically close if you use the auto close on this system, but I'm not choosing to do that. I'm going to take this bell wire, run it into a weatherproof housing, non-metallic, to which it's going to house a little, timer, a little 12-volt or 12-volt or 24-volt timer. This little timer is pretty inexpensive. You set the date and the time. You've got 2 leads for power in the back, and then 1 lead to switch, and it'll kick the Ghost gate open. And again, when that would close, if you have the auto close on your Ghost gate, it would close the gate for you. But I'm going to keep the auto closed off so that we can close it when we want, and it'll always open at a certain time in the morning, to which my wife wants it to be 2 a.m. And that way the Percherons at 2 a.m. can be released back out into the field after about a 6-hour rest. This really works, fine in the summer, but where it's a real big saver for us is in the winter. We're allowed then to easily control their access to the hay that's in the feeders out there and give them a break from it, extends our hay a bit, and keeps them from getting too fat in the winter months. Wiring this up wasn't as bad as I thought. There's 4 wires to the timer. 1 wire is to the switch part to open, and then there are 2 common wires, and then a hot wire to the timer. It's really quite simple. You hook like I said, the power into this beast. You hook up the bell wires into it. You hook up 2 wires for the solar into it, and then you've got the motor on the Ghost arm that goes into that box. And yes, none of it's in conduit. And yes, I did not buy a Ghost with electric eyes, nor did I buy the Ghost with the little ground sensor for the car. I would highly recommend buying those kind of things, folks, if you're putting this on a driveway. Because one of the downsides to putting a non-professional gate opener in with a timer is without the electric eyes, the photo eyes, without the vehicle sensor switches and stuff, there's always a slight chance that you would get into the gate after it's opened and the gate would shut on your vehicle and cause some minor scuffing and scratching on your vehicle. So you don't want that. But in this situation, I don't need any of that. That's all kind of a waste for me. This Carlton box, this timer fits in absolutely perfect, which is nice. The wires go in it. They're a little tight, but they do go in it nicely. And then with a Sigma non-metallic cover on it, which is waterproof, like I said, I'm able to make a nice access point where I can reach in and adjust the timer. I chose to build the whole system in my shop and test it out. I felt that was the better way. I didn't have any black bell wire, so I just marked the white with black ends so I knew that what they went to. That just made it easier for me when wiring it up, just to make sure I had it right. I didn't want to screw it up, let's just put it that way. And you're spending, $300 on something like this, all the way up to, with the cost of the gate and stuff, probably $500-600. You don't want to wreck it. You want to do it right the first time. So it took me a little bit of puzzle piecing to get it up and running, but I did. I've got it, like I said, I've got the opening of the switch going into open. I've got the blacks into the common, and then I've got a power lead coming off the Ghost going into this, into its red. Henceforth, the switch is all pretty much set. Once I got this all in its box, I just kind of had to think my way through the mounting of it and which way the gate opens. Some gates I've worked with, when you work with like the Mighty Mules, a little bit noisier, a little slower gate, and they have a little bit more adjustment on them that you got to play with as a consumer gate. The Ghost is really nice because it's pretty autopilot. It always pulls into the same distance, so you only really got to set your out distance. The force setting on it is preset at factory, so you don't have to think with it much. And really, the wiring is fairly simple and straightforward out of the box. If you want to use their batteries, they even give you a battery box. I wanted a pretty strong battery, so I went with a little bit more amp hours and made my own battery box here. Actually, I bought it off Amazon, and I think that'll work. I think that'll work really nice. I also went with the bigger solar panel just because my area does have some trees down by this gate. I'm not going to get all day sun. I'm going to get sun from about 6-7 o'clock in the morning until about 5 o'clock at night, and then I'm going to lose sun. And that's in the summer months. We're talking winter months, I'm going to get sun from, 7-8 o'clock in the morning, only probably until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So with that being the case, I wanted to make sure I had enough panel and enough juice. So I didn't opt for the 10 watts, I went for the 30 watts. It'll charge the battery faster, which would be better for it in the winter months. I put some plastic shielding over my bell wire, because again, if you're really going to do this probably to, commercial level, or if you're a professional installer of a gate, this really should be conduit, folks. These two boxes should be conduited up. Should run conduit up to your solar, and you probably should run some conduit pipe down to your actual Ghost arm. That would be the better way of doing it. But it's consumer grade, and for the cost, this works really quite nicely. So I'm making it work. I'm also going to add a couple controls. It comes with a little handheld button to open the gate. But I'm actually, here by the way, I've got it all wired in. I got the solar wired in, got the switches wired in, it's all wired in. As far as going through the battery box, I just punched a hole through it, and then I'm just going to silicone that shut. But as far as operation, I'm going to use these keypads, not because I care about security with this device as much, but because these can be mounted outdoors. So I can have one at the top of the horse area, I can have one right at the gate for it. They take a couple C batteries. You don't use them often, so they last all year. And that's really nice. We can punch in a code and shut the gate for the night. And then to know that 6 hours later, the timer is going to kick in and release those horses. And if we want to make it 8, we can make it 8. If we want to make it 4, we can make it 4. We just lift the timer door and change the setting. And I think that's fantastic. Now, when you're using a gate like this for horses, the one thing I have learned, as you can see, it's retracting. The red light there is on the timer. It's working absolutely perfect, folks. But again, I digress. When you're using a gate like this for horses, or probably for any livestock, they have to respect the gate. And what I found is that when these gates make noise and they're actually moving, that helps, but nothing helps as much as wiring the gate with electric. If you have the gate on an electric fencer, and there's another video where I show how I wire up my gates, then they already respect the gate before you even put the opener on, and then they don't even push it, which is really nice. When the gate starts to open, they look at it, they hear the sound, they know they want to go through it, but they wait for that thing to get out of their way because they know they don't want to touch those wires, which is absolutely fantastic, folks. I love that. So again, I've got this one set so it's going to go off, and it's going to stay open until we close it again. That way there's no chance of a horse getting trapped on the other side. Solar panel hooked up like a piece of cake, and now the gate. You can buy different types of gate. I like these wire mesh gates, not because they're strong and, they'll hold back a horse, but because they're so easy for us to wire up. I got a great big post here in the ground. I don't know, it's like 8+ inches. And I'm putting the hinges in it. Once I get these guys in it and get it set and get the gate level, it's just a matter of installing the ghost. Had to notch out just a little bit of a spot there to make it flat. My daughter Julia there is running wire. My wife is tying it all in. Anna's digging post holes behind me. It was a team effort. It took us about total 5 hours to get this thing installed. As you can see, we're going to run hot on the side that the horses will always be on. We've got the solar mounted to a post, and the post is on the inside of the gate where they can't get to. And when the gate's in the open position, the solar's protected from them. And when the gate swings to what we'll call the closed position and locks them forward, then again, there's no way for them to get to it, which secures our equipment from them damaging it. And it comes right up nicely against this post, and boom, it's shut for the night. I love it. If a horse accidentally stands in its way, trust me, they're going to get touched by the hot, and they're going to jump forward from it. If that were the case, so the gate would feel their weight, and then it would stop. Again, I do not have photo eyes with this. I do not have, in-vehicle ground sensors. Notice I open it up. Toby comes right through. He's totally got this down. But it's easy for the horses to learn. It works really good. So now I've got the timer. I've got to get it set up. So if you, look at the battery box, I've got that in here. I put foam on each side of the battery just to keep it from shifting around and keep it where I want in the box. There's a lot of amp hours on that battery, which is good for me. That battery is pushing, I think, close to 50 amp hours. When you turn on the setting here and you look at the program, I've got it set to release at about 2 a.m. So that means I can, lock them out at 8 o'clock at night. And at 2 a.m. it's going to open them up, let them back into that field, or in the wintertime, let them back into their hay source. Gives us a little break on the hay, keeps them from getting fat, and also controls things a little nicely. Got a nice little clip on there to keep the ghost controller shut, and one of the keypads is here, and another keypad is, probably a good 200 yards away, and it actually does work. It reaches it. Of course, now there's nothing in between. It's, perfect distance to reach, but I know I'm kind of maxing out the distance, but it's fantastic. It does work. The antenna does make it, which is great. The gate shuts nicely. Here I've got the camera zoomed in. I'm quite a ways away from it. I'm going to push the buttons here, and as you can see, it opens right up. That's what we want. This is perfect, folks. This is how we use an automatic gate system for controlling the horses on the field. I think it's a nice way of doing it. It saves us some time, and certainly works well for them. This way we're able to lock them in with their water and let them have a rest period for a few hours of the day, and then open it up automatically and let them into the feeding areas, which is fantastic. I think it's a great use of a gate opener. I think the Ghost is a good company. They make a reliable product, at least on the consumer end. I get it's not heavy-duty commercial, folks, but it's still a nice product. Please like and subscribe and support our channel, folks. Following our channel is the only way we can keep putting out great videos like this.